Ladies and gentlemen, we know from the Durham Probe report that there was no reason to investigate Trump, that government officials, including the Federal Bureau of Investigation, leveled their agency, the United States government, taxpayer dollars, at Trump just because they don't like him. That's it. Had nothing to do with national security. There was nothing there. And it all emanated from the Clinton campaign and the DNC, which is why they were fined by the FEC for purchasing the Steele dossier, but Trump was not fined. You had Adam Schiff probably over 200 to 300 times on MSNBC and CNN, okay? The only difference between Michael Avenatti and Adam Schiff, they were both on, one's in prison now, but they were both on MSNBC and CNN claiming that Trump committed a crime when it never happened. Both of them were on 200 to 300 times. One is still in Congress. And it was completely false. Adam Schiff almost certainly knew that Trump never worked with the Kremlin, that there was no need to investigate him, and that it was just Democrats, loyalists within the government, media, all being leveled at Trump for one of the greatest lies that have ever been told in this country, that Trump was an operative of another country. So this is Representative Anna Paulina Luna, and this is her Twitter profile. And it's pretty awesome. She is a congresswoman from Florida, Republican. Schiff lied to the American people. He used his position on the House Intel to push a lie that cost American taxpayers millions of dollars. He's a dishonor to the House of Representatives. She is now pushing a House resolution that's backed by Kevin McCarthy to expel and remove Adam Schiff from Congress. The interesting thing is, it's like, nobody realizes, nobody will know. If you don't like Trump and you're just, a casual observer of politics, or you could be interested in politics, you're not really going to understand anything about the Durham probe if you just despise Trump. You won't care. All you'll know is that he's been investigated and there must have been some reason. And, Adam Schiff, who knows what he was doing? And, a lot of Democrats were accusing Trump. Okay, so he's not guilty there, but he has to be guilty in terms of other crimes. That's all. That's your vantage point. Ignorance is bliss when your entire life is devoted to despising Trump. The vantage point of people who don't like Trump is that there's so much smoke and there's so much hysteria over Trump. Some of it has to be true. So why deal with that? Why can't you just get Chris Christie or Paul Ryan or even DeSantis? I like DeSantis, but he's not Trump. The only thing good about DeSantis is that he's kind of similar to Trump in certain respects. And so the CNN mentality is, well, you can have a nice Republican that could be steamrolled by a Democrat every 4 years. You don't need Trump, but you do need Trump. You need Trump because you want Americans home from never-ending military conflict. The Doha Agreement and other decisions Trump made during his presidency brought Americans home. And then you have a president who presided over record low poverty, record highs in household median income, inflation at 2%, real wages up. But when the U.S. economy was roaring right before Democratic governors tanked their state economies, you had a situation, ladies and gentlemen, where Adam Schiff and other Democrats were creating a Cold War, McCarthy-era Red Scare hysteria. The same wonderful, morally superior liberals who talk about democracy apparently did not take history class prior to, 2020 or 2021, like 2016. In history class, we all learned, and if you're over 40 years old or even 30 years old, you probably should have already learned that the McCarthy era was a terrible time. Accusing people of being a communist. Okay, the Red Scare McCarthy era was a time where McCarthy even went after generals, and so you have to ask yourself, why did Al Franken, of all people, become one of the new McCarthy era hardline Republicans against the Kremlin? How did that happen? Well, they were mortified, and they failed miserably in 2016. Clinton needed a scapegoat, and I think Clinton will be the 24 nominee. I can't see how Hillary Clinton won't be the 24 nominee. But Clinton needed a scapegoat. Democrats had loyalists within the U.S. government. They had Republicans as well. And one thing also, this is also an indictment on the Republican Party. There were Republicans who knew that Trump was innocent, yet still investigated him, simply for political gain. It weakened the political party. They lost the Senate. Mitch McConnell lost the Senate because he didn't speak out against any of this. How do you investigate a Republican president and then you lose the Senate as the Republican Party, and then you say, oh, okay, well, where's the special counsel in Biden's administration investigating him and Hunter? There is none. There's a special counsel maybe investigating the classified data. But see, again, that's a whole other story. The issue, they're very smart. The issue is the graft bribery, the pay-to-play quid pro quo schemes, the kickbacks that the New York Post details. Okay, when people say there's no felonies, there are no felonies. Well, of course there are. They're detailed within the New York Post reporting. There are specific emails leading to that specific emails that ask Hunter for influence on behalf of a company. Okay, you don't have that type of evidence with Trump. You never did. There are specific emails. There's money flow. There was never any money flow with Trump. There was never any specific emails. There were never any witnesses. Nothing. There was nothing with Trump, yet they investigated him on a dossier that was completely full of lies purchased by Clinton. When they cheated Bernie Sanders, okay, they cheated Bernie Sanders, then blamed the Kremlin for wanting you to know that Bernie was cheated. This is how sick and twisted everything is. And then people wonder, oh, how could you like Trump? Because he fought and he stood up for himself, unlike Bernie Sanders, by the way. I used to be the biggest Bernie Sanders booster on the internet, according to the Huffington Post. I used to be the unofficial scribe of Sanders' most hardcore voters, according to the Washington Post. Bernie Sanders never stood up for himself or his voters. He was cheated, treated miserably by Democrats, and then promptly blamed Trump and accused him of something he didn't do, also becoming the first, I guess, modern democratic socialist to help create a new Cold War and McCarthy era and Red Scare along with Adam Schiff. What Schiff did was he continuously lied about Trump. The Durham Probe report categorically states that there was no reason to investigate Trump. Furthermore, he was accused of things he didn't do. They didn't even have intelligence. And Schiff kept on saying, well, we have something in between direct and indirect. We have intelligence. We're going to get Trump. We have all this information. He kept saying that. The people who believe the greatest lies are the wonderful, morally superior liberal Democrats who for years trusted people like Adam Schiff, CNN, MSNBC, The Washington Post, The New York Times, an entire public relations apparatus. It was all lies. All they did was lie. And then Trump is polarizing. Isn't that interesting? Defending Trump is polarizing. When you have to point out 5 years or 6 years or 7 years later, basically 7 years later, that he wasn't a Russian operative, that all of it was a setup, and that people lied, and Democrats lied through their teeth every single day in the media. And never Trump Republicans also lied. But that's polarizing, don't you understand? So at the end of the day, after they've spread and spewed all of these statements that aren't true, all of these lies, overt lies, and then lies by omission, and this suspicion that was generated from absurd allegations, baseless claims, then Trump is the polarizing individual. because you have to explain to these people that they've been believing in fantasy for the past 7 years. Give me your thoughts below. Hit subscribe to this channel right